I'm going to make you say it. Mary Bannon. Sure.
September 9th or 19th? Yeah.
I so move.
Second.
Aye.
Motion to approve the minutes from September 25th.
Yes.
Yeah, it's always me. I'm sorry. Tell Julie and I apologize again. Okay. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of September 25th as written?
I so move.
Second.
Motion moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Minutes for September 25th are approved as written. John, Mr. Tower, do you have any new violations and status of active violations?
Well, we do have a new violation. I think it's pretty minor. Maybe an oversight right up the street. It's just a porch steps. Surprisingly, it's a contractor that's working right around the corner. Didn't think it was necessary to get HPC approval or a building permit for front stairs on the Worthington house. Now he's also, I think, planning to replace the lattice, which is probably 100 years old. So I have to look at the whole thing. It's just come in.
So is it something that you can approve administratively, or will he need to come here?
No, he can do that administratively.
Okay.
And then we also had a stop work order for a roof of all things. Unfortunately, a shingle roof on Market Street at the corner of Market and Union, and that's the new agent for large rental concern here in Annapolis. So hopefully he will just know how to do these easy approval applications. However, he did start work without permits. He started work without approvals. He understated the value of his project. And he, of course, wants his approval right away. So I'd say we're off to a great start.
Well, not to pick nits, but the underestimation of the value, that doesn't really affect our operations. That's all internal and related to city finance, correct?
However, the fees were really unusually low for a very, very long period of time. And frequently we waive fees for revisions, and those revisions can take a great deal of time. But we do that as a courtesy to most applicants.
Okay.
So it's in the end, yes, the fees have gone up. Fines have gone up also. There's been quite a bit of back and forth about the Hogan sign on Duke of Gloucester Street. I don't know if that boulder is ever going to roll. We will see. Let's see what else. Yeah, so for violations, that pretty much covers it.
Just to put it on the record, didn't I also see, though, that the illegal trash enclosure has been removed on Prince George Street?
I don't have an application for it. I haven't seen it.
I think it went before city council, I think, on Monday.
Well, then it was ordered to be removed.
Yeah.
Good.
That's-
Yeah. Yeah. I
So
didn't make
was
it until
Monday,
midnight. Yeah. Okay. Very good. Thank you, John, for that update. And now we will go on to, with the cooperation of one of the applicants very considerately, we're going to go on to Revel Street, 16 Revel Street. Yeah. We're going to try to do this without you necessarily spending much time or even making a presentation. If you'll just introduce yourself, and if there's any questions, we'll ask you, but I don't think that'll be necessary.
Cameron DeGast. There you go.
Okay. And your address? Your address? Your address. Your place of business in this case is that.
57 Silipana Road.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I'm going to propose that this be put on our consent agenda. It's a minor project. The staff report is completely positive, and we've heard no public comment. So if that's agreeable to the commissioners present, someone will make a motion for approval. We'll handle it.
I so move.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you for your time this evening, and
Put
good
you
luck
through the
on your
ringer
project.
tonight.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah. Okay. Well,
Cameron, thanks.
we try to consider the value of everyone's time.
Appreciate it.
Okay. And then also, with the indulgence of one of our other applicants, John, what's the proper address for the
7 Church Circle.
7 Church Circle, the Reynolds Tavern building? Are you the only person representing this project?
Yes, and I would like to beat that time if possible with that.
We'll do our
previous
best. I like to have expeditious meetings, and I think the other commissioners do too.
Just preemptively because the next one's going to be long.
While we're taking this moment, I'll have to share with everyone present. I was a competitive runner in an amateur sense, and cyclist still am in a very amateur experience. And so I got, you give me a goal line, finish line, I want to get there. Okay.
Well-
This is the Reynolds Tavern property. And the first thing that we do is ask the applicant or their representatives to make their presentation. And before you do that, would you please raise your right hand? And do you swear that the testimony you're about to give is true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, I do.
Okay, now if you'll just say your name and address, we'll be ready to go.
Yes, my name is Diane Ray, and the address of Reynolds Tavern is 7 Church Circle here in Annapolis.
Thank you.
So,
Floor is yours.
thank you. Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the Historic Preservation Commission for the City of Annapolis and esteemed HPC staff and the public. Yes, my name is Diane Ray. As I said, my husband Dave and I are the new owners of Reynolds Tavern, this landmark building in Annapolis that was built in 1747 by William Reynolds to be his family home and hat-making shop, eventually also a tavern that appropriately went by the name of the Beaver and Laced Hat. We want to continue to honor that cozy colonial atmosphere of genteel hospitality that Annapolis residents and guests to the city have come to hold dear. And that is why we come before you this evening now to seek your approval for some exterior upgrades that will enhance the experience for our guests and contribute to the colonial ambiance of Annapolis that we all value. We're proud to note at Reynolds Tavern that this project is funded through a competitive grant from the National Trust for Historic Preservation. Reynolds Tavern was one of only 2 historic restaurants in Maryland that received this grant, the other being the Trolley Stop in Ellicott City, if you're familiar with that. 500 applications were submitted to the NTHB and only 50 were awarded nationwide. Therefore, we want to make the most of these precious dedicated funds. As this grant is designed to boost the economic vitality of historic restaurant venues across the country, Reynolds Tavern proprietress Sally Boyette took the lead in developing the plan that is before you this evening. I will do my best to speak on her behalf as she regrets she is unable to be here this evening. She is on stage at her theater, which is the Classic Theater of Maryland. And so I guess if I were a good singer, I might be there, but no, alas, that is not the case. So here I am with you. We gave you in this presentation all of the items that we hope to accomplish in this grant project. So I can concentrate on, or I can go through all of them quickly if you would wish me to do so. But as you said, you're conscious of the time. I could jump in and concentrate on your questions that relate to the pergola proposal. It seems to be where most of the questions arise. That whatever your pleasure would be, Mr.
Thank you.
Chairman.
I appreciate that. And at the moment, I think that all I want to do is clarify something that I'm uncertain of in terms of the approvals that you need from the Maryland Historical Trust. Have you received approval?
We are kind of going in a parallel track with the MHT. At the same time, we're going with you here. So we're fielding their questions and yours somewhat simultaneously. This grant was awarded in the summer and has to be spent by January. So it's kind of really a bit of a tight turnaround given the various approvals that are required. That's why we come before you tonight. And we really do hope that you could find a way to give us the go-ahead pending the approval from MHT.
I understand your position, but our position is that if we take the time to review, and particularly if we put conditions on your project, and then the trust orders you to do something else, then we've all spun our wheels. And we understand the time sensitivity of the grant, and I discussed this with Mr. Tower this afternoon. I'm going to throw out what I threw out to him as a possible solution. I know that it's quite imperfect, but what I suggested to him is, couldn't you, if you know and trust the contractor, go ahead and expend the money, or at least some portion of it? In my experience with grant making processes, and I do have that experience, if you commit funds, it's usually regarded as satisfying that timetable.
Yes.
Would that be something you would be able to do?
I believe so, yes. We could consider doing it that way. And perhaps here tonight, there are items on our to-do list that I do not think require your specific approval. Some chairs, for example, things of that nature. We can go ahead and start down the path of ordering some of those items that don't require a regulatory body's approval.
Is that correct, John?
Diane, we do review furniture.
Oh, furniture as well?
I mean, you could give an administrative application for those things.
Okay.
So you can have a completely separate application. For instance, your signage, your chairs. Or you can add revisions to your already approved administrative approval.
Mm-hmm.
For the repointing.
Oh, I see.
That's already been issued.
Yeah.
So
I have a question, John. Have you reviewed this application, and do you have an opinion maybe pending MHT, or which?
Oh, you mean regarding the pergola?
I didn't see a staff report from you, so I wasn't sure.
No, there's no staff report. And that would get me back into announcements, but I can go over these after we've dealt with all of the applications. But what would my disposition be? My disposition for this would be to minimize its apparent mass. And so there has been just a back and forth about planting on the top of the pergola to have a vegetative cover there. I don't know, and I think we don't know yet, what the actual effect on the view is, because we don't have that perspective. And I think more plans would help that. that would make it a lot easier. Of course, my first inclination was to get rid of the railing, but I don't know if that's possible because I haven't walked the site to see if that's a safety requirement.
Is the railing there?
Yes, the railing exists currently. This would
That's
be
for
on top of
that's
the
for
railing.
safety.
Well, and then I suggested, of course, this is my mind. Well, why don't we make it black metal? And it's just a lot of extra expense to take out one visual element. So I will say I haven't gotten a lot of positive reaction within my office.
Why isn't there a staff report?
This is a pre-application.
Oh, okay.
So there would be no vote tonight
No.
either way anyway?
Yeah, there's everything that's happened. I don't think you explained it. It was it's non-binding.
Yeah, I
So we're
did not
just
make
commenting.
that clear. I'm sorry. That's my fault.
No, this isn't an application.
So even if we
This was on the
wanted to take
agenda.
action, there
You
would be
can't.
no action for us to take.
It was not properly
Right.
announced as a public hearing,
Okay.
so we could not.
That's correct. Until there's Maryland Historic Trust, until the easement holder, which is Maryland Historic Trust, and I think Historic Annapolis has the interior easement on the property. We would not hear it. This commission would not. You wouldn't review it. We have to have the trust.
And so
Go ahead.
we come to the point where we don't usually meet in December. So it's not that we can't, but our bylaws state that we won't meet in December.
Mm-hmm.
We can always, I feel, change that if it was a good cause. You would have the opportunity to come back at the first Tuesday of November if you could corral all this stuff into order.
Hopefully, we will hear back from the MHT by that time frame and could get back on your agenda then. And I just, for your additional background information, the impetus behind this pergola is that the staff regularly hears from the people who are sitting there enjoying alfresco dining, and it is a really wonderful spot at Reynolds Tavern, and so wonderful from the viewscape as well around Church Circle to see people dining and having a good time on that terrace. But in the brutal hot summer like we had, the lucky ones are the ones that get to sit under the two umbrellas.
Yeah.
And we all know how it is with umbrellas. They only have a certain area of coverage. Everybody wants to sit there. Nobody wants to sit outside that coverage. And to add umbrellas onto that terrace, just when you have to allow for the large concrete base, really creates a tripping hazard for the Reynolds Tavern staff and for the
Oh, yeah.
patrons. So this is why we went to the pergola idea.
Is there a roof on this?
There is that ventilated roof of a pergola, with the wooden slats. So it creates.
But it's not solid.
It's not solid. No. That allows for the airflow, but creates also the shade that we're looking
Well,
for.
the Ram's Head back patio is a classic example of a
Yeah.
pergola with the, what is it? Not mimosa. What's on it, Eric?
And it's wood. This is a custom wood. This isn't a kit.
Correct. It would be a custom project, yes. And we would add, as Mr. Tower was suggesting, the greenery. We already have an arbor that marks the entrance into the pergola, into the terrace, and it's festooned with greenery to soften it and beautify that area. And that would be the same look then that would go along the whole totality.
So in the end, you would have something like wisteria growing over.
yes.
Well,
yeah.
but what planting medium would you be planting the vines in?
Oh, well, we have them in pots on each side of the arbor, so something similar. It's amazing how one pot of a climbing
Oh, yeah.
vine just can take over the entire structure.
Is there a reason why the posts, the columns are irregular? or at least the rendering I have here, the posts on the left are much closer together than the posts on the right.
Hmm.
And if it, being a classical traditional building, in my opinion,
Seems that way.
it should be the posts should be evenly spaced.
I wonder if the intention was to align with the other posts, which were not evenly spaced with the railing.
Well, this is all new, right? This is all.
Well, the railing's there.
The railing is existing, so everything
I
on the
got it
railing
now.
is existing.
I mean, it might be the perspective
Yeah,
is skewed, but that would be my recommendation to
Yeah.
have the spacing of those labeled on your presentation. And I noticed in your write-up that the color would be where was that? A sympathetic. The color should be specified. I would match the existing railing or match the existing trim on the building.
yes. The intent would be to match the colors that exist on the railing.
Well, that would be the kind of thing that we'd like to see you document when you return.
Yes, I understand. We will,
Good.
and we
Good.
hope that we'll hear from MHT in return. And I want to thank you for your time. If there are no other questions, and for your
I just want to wish you
consideration.
well. That's where we held my son's wedding rehearsal dinner. Beautiful place. It was
Thank
September,
you.
but it was still hot as hell.
Yeah, well, we appreciate that. And if it's been a while since you've been to Reynolds Tavern, we invite you to come in and dine, stay, and experience all that we're doing. And we will be back when we have a little more information to share with you. And in the words of the 18th century, let me say that I remain your most grateful and faithful humble servant.
Humble. I was,
Yes, humble servant. I bid you a good
I'll
evening.
add a quick comment too.
Yes.
Because your comment on view set or line of sight, from my understanding, just locally from that area, I think the only line of sight that is being blocked here is that from the Reynolds property of the State House, because of the tree that's in the back. If you're looking from the back up, you're only blocking your own view, I think. But I think it would be helpful for people to see that. Now, obviously, from Church Circle looking back, this would be visible, but it would just be covering up a tree. But having pictures from both sides might be useful.
Mhm.
Is there any chance that getting this pushed, like if the fiscal thing for keeping the grant open, like loses the grant opportunity? Because I wonder if there's a way that we can help navigate that.
that's why I was mentioning that usually if you encumber some of the funds, but not all, most granting agencies will make allowance and credit that as though you're spending the money appropriately and in a timely fashion. Have you had stricter encounters?
I was just going to ask, does this qualify as a structure?
Yes. Yes, it is
So
definitely a
isn't
structure.
there a setback for structures?
I have not been
Wouldn't this be a
informed
zoning?
that because this is more or less in its own way landscaping embellishment. But that's a good point, and I'll look into it. I did not hear that from the reviewer, from the zoning reviewer. Yeah.
The other comment, as I'm just looking at this in more detail, is in my humble opinion, the brackets and some of the detailing feel more Victorian than colonial.
Hmm.
And if you look at the that side porch with the round posts, to me that says it's more period than these square posts with the almost gingerbread brackets.
That's a good point, Eric. Thank you for raising it. While you were talking, I was looking at it. I don't think Palladio would recognize that. Now, you mentioned Ms. Boyette. Is she the owner of the restaurant? Or
Yes, she is the owner of the restaurant business that runs the 1747 pub, the bed and breakfast rooms, the restaurant,
Oh.
the tea room, the beer garden.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So this grant is specifically designed to boost the economic vitality of the restaurant. So that's why she's the one that is determining that this space could be a lot more helpful to her bottom line and more successful as
yes.
a very
Yeah, yeah.
valuable spot in the restaurant. It's kind of been treated more like overflow seating in the past than maybe maximized and made a focal point, and this would make it more of a focal point
Yes.
for her.
Oh, I agree. And I asked more specifically, will you please say hello for me to Sally when you see her? I served for some time on her board.
Oh, excellent. I will. I see
so
her very regularly.
I would suggest some pictures of your design inspiration that are truly colonial, because I don't think this is. Now, I'm not asking for classical columns necessarily, but the impression this is giving me is Victorian gingerbread.
I would agree completely.
I have to say, removing the brackets is probably a good idea.
Mhm,
Yeah.
mhm.
I think that would take care of the most obvious element that's Victorian. So you're
Excellent
agreeable?
idea. Yes.
You're agreeable to come back in November then?
Yes, indeed so.
But
Yes.
shouldn't you also determine whether this is feasible?
Oh, well, we've been talking as though it was, so I'm sorry, I made an assumption. We should, for the record. Do we all agree that this is a feasible project?
Yes.
As long as it, I just question the zoning. I've been challenged before as a landscape architect in what is a structure, and if it's within the setback. And
I'll find out about that
Yep.
because it's an important question.
we want to say yes, because I think this would add shade and an amenity that would be good for your economic base, and that we want to be good
Oh, yeah.
good people there. So
Having sat through a very long, hot evening some years ago now,
Yeah.
the added shade and comfort would be good for everyone.
Yes, I think so too.
So I definitely think it's feasible. Are we in agreement then?
Yeah, and I will say, pending the setbacks, because I was curious, me personally, I'd rather see something like this with colonial adjustments than umbrellas.
yes,
Yeah,
So
definitely.
if there was an issue with setback, I might lean more on the side of being open to this design and providing like an approval for a variance if that's something that we even have the authority to do
Yeah.
with the colonial adjustment, just because I think that's a lot better than
So the last
umbrellas.
thing we really need to do is ask you, for the record, do you understand the concerns that we've raised, and can you address them?
Yes, I do. And I will address them and take this up with Sally Boyette. So
Okay.
again, thank you
Thank
for
you.
your consideration and your time. Oh, and we also want to thank you for your green light that you gave us for repointing the bricks on the Franklin Street side of Reynolds Tavern and making repairs to the slate roof. So that work is already underway, and we appreciate your support for that.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you. And now for the main event.
Do we know this guy?
He looks familiar. Excuse me, I did neglect again something because I see two individuals that I don't recognize. Would anyone
thank you,
in
Leo.
the public like to address either of these two matters that we just discussed? Seeing none, we'll continue on with the application for work at Ogle Hall on King George Street.
I'm texting this to me, but there we go. Thank you.
I was just providing John the reference that says that those items are permitted in the required side yard. The pergola and trellis assemblies, it's a code reference, just so it would be fresh in their mind.
Great. Thank you.
So, good evening. Thanks
Please
for
introduce
having us.
yourselves.
My name is Leo Wilson. I'm with Hammond Wilson Architects.
Andrew Fishback with Hammond Wilson Architects.
Amanda Doyle with Campion Ruby Landscape Architects.
Thank you. Please raise your right hands. Do you swear that the testimony that you're about to give is correct and true to the best of your knowledge?
I do.
Thank you.
So, you may recall we were here for a work session on Ogle Hall some time ago, and we've been working through some other components of the reuse of the project that used to be the home for the Naval Academy Alumni Association. Now we have a new owner using it as a residence as it was originally built to do. And so we're working through some things, finding out some real exciting things about the house and the property, and some less than exciting things, including water intrusion into the lower level we can't seem to get our arms around. In any case, we're making headway. Tonight's application is multifaceted. There's a couple of things that are listed in the staff report that describe the different components of the project. And I know we could go through the presentation, but it might be just as efficient for Mr. Tower to read his report, because he's broken it down, I think, pretty successfully into the
all
different
10
components.
pages?
Well, maybe you can just go to the conclusions.
Yeah. I think, Mr. Wilson, that's an excellent recommendation. I was going to say that. And I think that would make it more expeditious, because a number of things Mr. Tower has recommended with some conditions, and I think we really only have one area to dig into.
I think
Do that.
two.
Go ahead.
I think there might be two spots. I don't know.
Oh, well, yeah, there could be more. I'm just saying John's broken it down very well. We'll go by each one by one when we get to the point of discussion, so that maybe we can move things along.
So
See how far-
is that how you'd like to do it? Would you like to do one category of comment at a time, or read everything and then come back to it?
Do you have any preference?
It's probably most expeditious just to read all of it, and then you can consider each one independently. That way you don't have to go back and forth.
Okay. So I'm going to read the project description here so that everyone is aware. Now, I have to ask. This is, I thought. I look at plans all day. I thought this was a relatively complicated concept. Each one of these items could be a public hearing. Each one of them. There are really 4, maybe 5. So beginning with this, applicant is proposing to construct a 2-car garage addition with a living space above. The addition will be brick to match the existing. The roof will be asphalt shingle. The addition is sited near the property line for 49 College Avenue, so it's back to the back of the property, behind the original 20th century carriage house. So that so-called carriage house is actually a mid-20th century structure. A portion of the original building will be converted to a garage opening. That's one bay, and then a second bay will be added with living space above. The roof peak of the addition drops below the existing ridgeline to create subordination. 2 new wood garage doors are proposed with copper roofed awnings above the entrance. College Avenue facade, applicant is proposing to construct a single-story frame side porch to replicate the demolished northwest facade porch previously in place and visible in historic photographs and on the June 1885 Sanborn map. This will face College Avenue and be located behind the main house on the L. That's the octagonal L. A window is proposed to be returned to a door to create access to the porch. Also proposed for the area is a circular driveway, which will lie within a few feet of the porch and stairs seen on the following page, and will be approximately 13 feet wide, and will run beneath a portion of the canopy of the large cedar tree. The proposed driveway will run approximately 6 feet in front of the new porch and will come within a few feet of the side stairs and the portico below. The proposed recreation of the side porch lacks full detail and specifications, but appears faithful to the original, and I would say, which can be seen in historic photographs. Copper roof is proposed. So I would say that that's faithful in spirit. Details have to be worked out. I don't know where you all are on that. So I think we're getting the broader view on that. Courtyard and rear of house, the existing elevator, awning, and iron gate are proposed to be removed, with the opening filled in to match the existing. A swimming pool is proposed for the rear yard near 49 College Avenue. Multiple new plantings, trees, and bushes are proposed. The driveway and parking, the existing brick parking area is approximately 18 feet wide by 24 feet deep, 432 square feet, and enters the property over a low granite curb, not a formal curb cut. A portion of the parking area shown in the picture on the following page is proposed to be retained with an additional driveway and parking area and semicircular driveway proposed to be added in the yard between Ogle House and College Avenue. An approximately 3,000 square foot addition of driveway and parking. So 2 new curb cuts will be required. A significant area shown in the picture on the following page, which will not show on the screen, is proposed to become driveway and parking. A raised circular driveway is proposed entering the property and exiting from College Avenue. The new curb cut will be located to the side of the carriage house. The second curb cut requires modification of the fence. The circular driveway is approximately 13 feet wide and runs approximately 116 feet on the inside of the circle. A carriage drive can be seen in the historic photos provided in the application. So there is precedent for this. It will be a prominent feature in the yard. Okay. Applicant is, and this is for the main facade, the applicant is proposing to remove stone steps from the front facade and construct a wood porch similar to that which is visible in the outline on the October 1921 Sanborn map and in historic pictures. And then in grounds and landscaping, this is actually fairly extensive, but there isn't a great deal of detail. There's design. We also have a small patio proposed for the front yard with plantings between proposed front porch and King George Street. And so staff essentially approved this. And that is all staff from Department of Public Works requiring a curb cut permit. Planning and zoning. So zoning, you have approval from zoning. And this was the smallest comment from Ryan Blomley I've ever seen. A building permit is required. So basically all of the approvals necessary are in place. Okay, so I began my analysis, staff analysis, with the carriage house. So do we want to start there, and then I'll say that, and then you can respond, or how would you like to do this?
I think I'm just going to make a suggestion, and we'll follow your lead, of course, but I know there are people in the audience that would like to speak. And so what I think might work best is if you read your recommendations and then let the public speak, and then we can discuss each one of them.
Well,
that,
I can actually. I'm following your lead. You asked me to read, so I'm reading. I'm reading for you, Leo.
Thank you.
All right. So skipping over the bulk of this and probably the most significant portions of it, I go right to recommendations.
I think that's a good way to proceed and most expeditious and effective.
Okay. So staff recommends approval of the proposed carriage house garage addition as sympathetic to the original structure and supported by guidelines B6, B13, and Secretary of the Interior Standards number 9. Staff recommends approval of the proposed rebuilding of the porches as supported by historic photographs and maps and supported by Secretary of the Interior Standards number 6 and 9. Staff recommends an alternative roofing material other than copper as previously stated in the report, which wasn't read. That portion was not read. Staff recommends approval of the proposed swimming pool due to its siting outside of public view with the condition of archaeological monitoring. Staff cannot recommend approval of the proposed planting and hardscape plan due to lack of information. Staff recommends approval of the demolition that was proposed on the back of newer portion of the building as consistent with guideline D2. Staff does not recommend approval of the proposed parking and driveway due to its inconsistency with guidelines B13 and C11. The possible detrimental effect of the large cedar tree and the lack of vegetative screening, which is a requirement of C11 for the parking and driveway. Staff recommends redesign to minimize the visual effect of the driveway and parking associated with the garage addition. And then the conditions of approval. Leo, are you listening? So the third story windows we'll do administratively. The HVAC administratively, because there isn't really any mechanical on this, right?
Right. We made you geothermal, which would mean there's nothing outside, but we're still looking.
Oh, really? Interesting. So there's another colonial house that just did geothermal very successfully.
Yeah.
Okay. Archaeology is required for any digging. I can tell you that I dug on the property to put the Lafayette marker in, and I was astonished at how deep the mulch goes. I think that they mulched 2 inches every year for the last 40 years. I mean, there's a lot of mulch there. Okay, and so who knows what you'll get into. And I asked for an alternative material to be submitted for the proposed porch roof instead of copper.
That it, John?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me suggest that we proceed this way. Since you've recommended those conditions that cover essentially everything at the end, you've reviewed those?
We have.
Are they agreeable to you?
Well, I do have one question on one of those.
Just a minute.
Okay.
You agree to them?
Yeah, we take no exception and are happy to resolve the open issues that have been considered by John administratively.
Okay. Question?
So I'm not sure that I'm clear. On the King George Street facade, I'm not clear on what historic picture is being referenced for the porch that will be added there. Is that, and I see, and I don't know if you guys have the same thing. So that's what it would look like.
That's correct.
So there's no portico or anything. It's open.
No, that one's open, and that's consistent with all of the documentation we could find in the publications and records here in the city and at the state level.
So, Leo,
Cecil,
can I
we're
ask
going to get back
that
to
one,
this.
that picture that you have up, the main picture. What year is that?
Let everyone.
Yeah. It is.
1918.
It says 1918 on
Wait,
there.
we found something we agreed on. This isn't. Do you think that this is considered as immediately germane to this following this last paragraph? Staff recommends the following condition of approval that applies to everything. I'm trying to concentrate just on that.
This question would be one of the ones you recommended for approval, and I just wanted to clarify some of those.
Oh, further up. Yeah, we're going to get there. This seems to be so straightforward.
Well, it is, but it's also not. So let me clarify a little bit of investigation about the porch. The current porch that's there is very much in keeping with many porches that can be seen on 18th century buildings. However, that is not an 18th century porch, and it's concrete. And we went over and looked at it. It's concrete. So it's probably from the era that the academy owned the building. It's very nice, but it's concrete.
Well,
But this,
yeah,
you
go
can
ahead.
see, you can literally see the stone, and you can see the wear of the stone there. That was not done in 1915 or even the turn of the century. Those stone steps had been there for a very long time. It's a shame they're not still there. It's pretty remarkable.
What period do you think?
I think
Do
that it's
we have no
possible. I mean, they could
documentation?
go back 100 years easily. They could be older.
Before 19,
Yes. Yeah. I think that they may easily go back into the early 19th century, and certainly within the period of significance for this house, which the periods of significance for this house were numerous. You know, it was like every 10 years someone famous
Yeah.
was moving in or coming by.
So context for my question. So essentially, from what I'm interpreting, I don't know that I have any divergence from the staff recommendation, but I think the King George facade is one of the most important pieces.
Absolutely.
And so it's marked with a patio with hedges. It says low hedges, low stone wall, and a new porch. And that's one thing that I wanted to better understand exactly what that final product will look like. And I could see it on the plan and I can see this historic picture, but that facade is just so important. So that's one of the, so that because that was recommended for approval, that's one of the things that I was hoping for more clarity on.
I did not recommend
Yeah.
For approval of the hardscape, the patio and the plantings.
Yeah.
I just don't understand it
I think
enough.
that's what threw me off.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, because it does look like they're
Right.
okay.
No,
Yeah.
I don't. I did not recommend for that. I do recommend for the porch.
Wait, so did you issue I don't
but
wait.
the porch is wood.
It is wood. It is not stone.
It's not replicating the historic photo that we're basing this change.
Actually, it's not. The steps are not proposed to be stone, are they? No,
No.
no.
Because I'm not seeing
No,
any
it's all wood.
comment that you have for the King George Street facade, except for the
But
approval of the
What
porch.
you just showed wasn't this. But that last image was the porch was wood. This is showing a brick base and wood steps.
Well,
Correct?
no, it's hard to read the
Go back to
notes
that
because they're
section.
because they're
That's a
so
good
small.
point.
But what you can see here is the wood surface. The porch itself is wood. It's ipe. It's called out as ipe in the drawing, and the
But
steps
the
are
foundation
called.
is brick.
That's right.
That the other image was not consistent. Oh, so just the steps are brick with lattice on the side.
Yes. And
Leo, can you
seems-
go back to the historic photo, the 1918?
But this is included in the porches that you're recommending for approval.
Yeah, I do recommend approval for this. I
But
did.
you're saying, but I don't see a
Okay,
comment about the
okay.
vegetation or the hardscapes that you mentioned for this area.
It's actually after that, I think.
We thought that this picture was this is what we were referencing in our detailing, where you can
Okay,
see the
all right,
masonry
I
on the
get it.
front and the wood.
Okay, this is why I was trying to break it up, because we're kind of jumping between these different sections, so it's not really helping us proceed more clearly. This is what I'd like to do. This seems the simplest part, this last paragraph in the recommendation. And Mr. Wilson has said that they've reviewed it and they accept this as it is. So what I would like to do now is ask if any member of the public wants to comment on this last part, and I'll read it again. Staff recommends the following condition of approval, meaning to the whole thing. The proposed window modifications of third floor windows be reviewed administratively. So we're just going to say that we accept what the staff report says on it. And all digging for planting and excavation be monitored by an archaeologist. That's standard. I think we all understand that. An alternative material, I think you wanted to say, should be submitted for the proposed porch roof as an alternative for copper. All HVAC equipment replacement be reviewed administratively. Okay? Do we all agree to that, commissioners?
Well, to the point you just raised, what John just showed me is the comments on hardscapes and landscaping are in a different portion that
Yes,
you just read.
exactly. And we'll dig into them
Okay.
eventually. Okay. Now, having said that, any member of the public wishes to comment just about what I read a moment ago. You're not going to read everything inside that briefcase, are you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Now remember, I'm only asking if you want to comment on this last rather simple part, not the whole thing. No. We're not to the porch yet. We'll get there. No, just this last part that applies to these sort of general things about an archaeologist being involved in a couple of small administrative review points. Anyone else wish to speak about that paragraph? All right, then we've opened and closed public hearing on that one.
I have one question. Have those items gone through MHT?
MHT does not have an easement. There are no easements on the property.
On that property?
Zero.
Why?
I think the academy considered itself and its own administration to be easement enough.
All right.
Yeah,
I'm
I
just
think
saying.
that's true.
Okay.
All right. So now go back to the very first section, very brief. HPC staff recommends approval of the proposed carriage house garage addition as sympathetic to the original structure and supported by guidelines B6, B13, and Secretary of the Interior number 9. Okay. Good. You have questions on that? Questions? You're agreeable? Okay. Does any member of the public wish to comment on what I just read? This has to do with the carriage house garage addition.
What's the additional footprint that you're adding? It would have been helpful to see what the original, there is an existing driveway, but just on the King George side.
No, it's on College Avenue
Or
side.
College
Yeah,
Avenue
yeah.
side, I mean.
Wasn't that within the staff report?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's, can you,
But it's, I mean, this is a corner lot, and there are a lot of different things being proposed here.
yeah. So you think
I,
that,
I have to say, I looked at and thought, how am I going to
they're putting a
organize
parking
all of this
area there.
information?
Was
Was that a strategy?
No, there's, it's a big undertaking for our client. We're really excited about it. The addition to the carriage house is about 25 by 23, Eric.
I know you gave numbers on the scope of the driveway.
Yes.
The driveway's a different
Right.
question.
I didn't bring up the square footage of the addition. And
Go to the plan.
you know, is it 25 by 23, or are you including
Let's take a look
bay
at the plan.
modification?
Yeah, so,
Because the bay modification, you're modifying part of the existing building.
yeah, John,
I think the bottom line question is, if you had an exact number, would that make a difference in your approval?
I think that the architect has designed this in a way that meets guidelines.
Yes, that's my point. So we don't really need to know the exact number except to help us understand the whole project. It's not necessary if we accept your determination and recommendation.
Well, I think the hardest thing about this, if it's approved, is going to be how you're going to match between the existing brick, the disturbed area, and the new area. That is going to be a challenge. It's because it's going to be right there on the wall, and there's
Easy
nothing
to
to
see.
step it back.
And we'll all be out there.
I mean, the facade is one plane, and then it steps back. But
we know a
that
really
is-
good brick maker.
that, well,
Okay.
I hope they've had a good day, and they'll stay sober through the holidays.
We have a question from one of the commissioners.
I don't have a problem with the garage. I think it's very handsome, and solving his problem is your challenge, Leo. My problem is paving underneath the tree, and it ties into the driveway as well. We are significantly paving over, and no raised driveway is not going to hurt that tree. Period. Anytime you disturb a tree's roots of that size, you are damaging the roots and therefore limiting the life of that tree. Black and white. End of conversation.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
But I mean, to facilitate this garage,
You think that's enough disturbance to cause the
It's not
harm?
the circular driveway. It's the access to the garage.
You want to address that, Leo?
Well, Eric, I'll show you here.
Well, I want to hear what.
Well, does that also play into you have denied or recommended no approval for hardscapes? Does that include, that includes anything with a driveway, right? So in theory, you're only
includes the
approving the grass
driveway,
entrance.
the brick, plantings. I just don't have enough information. I didn't have enough information to make the decision. So this is
This
right.
is
So
all
this is
new,
right.
and that's all new.
14 feet wide. So this.
The only thing that's
We
paved
do.
right now
Yeah,
is
It
this.
is.
We'll put it
It
up
is
right
on the
now.
plan.
So this could
Yeah.
move closer.
The garage doors are on this side.
This could be more restricted.
This is something I didn't expect that we would run into. But if the commissioners don't have enough information to feel confident they're making a decision, we can't make a decision.
Well, I think his
So
primary
even
question is
if it's-
pertaining
even if it's
to
over
the
here.
disturbance of the ground with the tree.
Oh,
more so
yeah,
than
I know what
anything
it
else.
refers to, but if we don't have the information for a concrete answer,
Well, it might have
Fine.
just been regarding the hardscapes entry in, which I believe he has said no approval yet on the hardscapes.
yeah, and we'll get there.
Was your only comment on the hardscapes surrounded, or was your comment just
The
on?
increased paving over the tree roots.
So is there any paving at all that is approved or recommended for approval, John?
I'm sorry.
Is there any paving whatsoever that is not existing that is approved for hardscapes at all?
I'm not ready to. I
So
wasn't.
if the carriage house was approved, as recommended, there would be zero impact to hardscapes around the carriage house.
Well, let's face it. It's a construction project, so it's going to have some effect on the cedar tree. So if that is approved and you need access to it, then it's a delicate subject. So it needs to be addressed. And what I was actually hoping for was that it would be reconsidered or redesigned and minimized, and that the applicants would come back and represent for that. That was my hope. Like, maybe we can minimize this so that it can be approved. Yes.
Well, and I guess what I'm trying to figure out is,
And also it needs some screening too.
well, what I'm trying to figure out is whether or not those two are separate. If the impact to the ground around the tree is a separate issue than the carriage house expansion on the rear.
I think it is, but
We do too.
And the reason I say that is, for me, I'm inclined to recommend or agree with the recommendation for approval for the carriage house, but I'm also on the same page with you about the impact of that tree. So if it's just this hardscape, then for me, I don't see any hesitation to recommend for the carriage house. But if you think that just the carriage house in general, regardless of entry,
And that's why I asked the added footprint on for the garage. It will remove tree root.
is that just on the back?
Well, look at here.
Eric, isn't there a number that is accepted in in your practice? So much percentage of disturbance of roots causes the
Those two slides up.
any? Okay.
Things like
Yeah.
you kill the tree.
Okay. Yeah. So we don't want to cut a single root.
I think
That
the
would be
expansion
preferred.
is just on the backside closest to the proposed pool. Actually, the site plan might be easier. If you could circle on the site plan where the change in the footprint. This is the only area that's big.
So let's just clarify here. The square in the back where the two garage doors are is net new. And so the circle that shows
red
the,
line there.
The red
Leo.
is
red is
existing.
existing.
Red is existing.
Right, the red's
right.
existing.
Very
So the root zone doesn't go into the proposed construction.
Oh, okay. All right. Good. We're all good on that. Is there any member of the public who wants to speak about the approval of the garage and the work surrounding? Okay, seeing none, we'll let the record record that we asked if there were public speakers. There are none on that matter. So we accept the staff's recommendation about the carriage house and its meeting of the guidelines that I read.
Maybe we should do a swimming pool next.
I don't know. Are we going to be allowed to use the swimming pool? Okay. The next section of the staff recommendations are HPC staff recommends approval of the proposed rebuilding of the porches as supported by historic photographs and maps and supported by Secretary of the Interior Section 6 and 9. Staff recommends an alternative roofing material other than copper as previously stated in the staff report.
On this one, though, should we skip this one? Because I think this one's going to have a lot more comment than the pool.
No, I don't think so. We'll take the comment. Okay. Mr. Wilson.
Yeah, we have no exception to changing the roof material to maybe lead coated copper, something like that.
Right.
Yeah, whatever Mr. Power says will be according to the guidelines.
Well, I mean,
Yeah, we'll look at some options and
So-
pick the best one.
right. Yeah, I mean, I would feel guilty if I forced you to use Freedom Gray.
Use what?
Freedom Gray
For the copper?
instead of the copper.
Yeah, well, that's the lead coated copper, right?
Right. Well, it's
Yeah,
not
that's-
lead coated.
Oh,
Right.
You guys are talking with trade terms that I'm not
Yeah.
sure we all
the gray will be
understand.
lovely, and we're excited about moving forward with that too.
So per this point, for me, like I don't have any hesitation on anything except for the King George size. I'm extremely sensitive to what happens there. This would include the porch on the King George Street side. The second point there.
It does.
So, is there a hyper realistic photo or like that you did of what that porch would look like on the King George side? By chance, I obviously I see the plan here. I see the historical image. I'm trying to think.
So when we put these drawing packages together, we try and capture the general intent of the design. And these drawings, that one, it's interesting. That's called what's that door called? A jib window. So it's actually, it looks like a door, but the top is a double hung window, and the bottom is like Dutch doors that open left and right.
It's
So-
like in the Hammond Harwood house onto the garden.
It's
Right.
similar, yeah. And so the idea is like, it looks like a front door, but it was never the front door. It was always a garden door, which is really interesting. But anyway, that's all intended to stay in place. And again, we're taking it back to a time that you would have seen when the house was at its height, I believe.
I mean, what's your opinion, Eric, on the change in the porch?
I think this looks better than,
Okay.
and the staff recommends its approval.
I do. There are some details that need to be worked out. It would be appropriate for the front of that porch to replicate what was previously in place, which was a frame porch, rather than having the brick facing King George Street. It's a minor change,
But with your recommendation for approval, this would not include approval of hardscapes or hedging or landscaping.
That's correct.
On the King
This
George
is,
side.
we're just talking,
Just the-
we are limiting this approval to porches.
You do think that looks better? Hard for me to
Yeah.
assess, but I trust you.
Well,
I think it's a very interesting porch. It underwent changes over the years, but I've forgotten about that 1918 photograph, which clearly shows substantial wear, and that's not wear of 50 years. You can see that on certain houses with stone porches, stone steps in the historic
idea
district.
of the wooden porch
Mhm.
with the lattice work is really not unlike the Peka house, except the Peka house has those entrances to the lower level, right?
So it was very common for these houses to have wooden porches.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't know exactly why, but that is what they had. A lot of them, the majority of them.
I think some of the detailing around the lattice, if it could be framed or something, would be more handsome than just some. I don't know. I didn't see any detailing around the lattice itself.
Okay,
Yeah,
but we're
but I
all in
think-
agreement that we can approve
Yes.
this.
We can work out the details administratively.
Yeah.
I wouldn't approve ePay. Right. I know. It's a minor detail, but I wouldn't approve something that is a tropical import for something that is recreating some historic element. And that is what we're doing, right?
It is. We use the ePay because we can paint it, which this was painted, and it's tongue and groove. You can buy it the same way you would buy cedar or fir or mahogany or any
Okay,
of the others.
good.
No, it should be Akoya, but
We'll accept Akoya.
Right.
But the language around vegetation and hardscapes is not under this section, but it still applies.
I swear we're not going to approve it.
Okay.
No.
I'm
Really,
super
and
sensitive
And
to
if
that.
I could just add
We got it.
a little bit for the landscape architect, please spare this house the embarrassment of foundation planting, please.
Foundation plantings.
Oh
You
my
want some gravel
God.
around it?
Yeah.
Yeah, good. I see a gentleman who's spoken very informatively in the past. If you'll come forward. Oh, okay. Sure. Introduce yourself and state your address, please.
Sure. Yeah. Good evening. My name is Clinton Ramsden. I live at 23 College Avenue. So my comment is
Before
more.
you begin, raise your right hand, please. You swear that testimony you're about to give is true and correct to the best of your knowledge.
I do.
Thank you. Please.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Chair, Commissioners, Ms. Wood, Ms. Beckley, Mr. Tower. Thanks for the opportunity to speak with you this evening. My comment is more general in nature. I understand the gentleman behind me has a more substantive presentation to give to the board. So I just want to be quick. For the last several years, I've come before you as an applicant. Each time I've been treated fairly, and no matter the outcome of the hearing, I always walked away each time having learned a great deal. Unlike many Annapolitans who may unfortunately and cynically refer to this board as the Hysterical Preservation Commission, I've always known this commission to be always fair and each time helpful. Tonight, I'm not an applicant. I'm just a concerned neighbor. I live at 23 College Avenue, so an underhand softball throw away from the subject property. I walk my 1-year-old son each morning and each evening past the property at 247 King George Street. I also am an owner of the property on the opposite corner of the intersection, which recently came before this board at 260 King George Street, where we're in the process of creating a refined European-style coffee shop that will further enhance the character of the neighborhood. My business partner also owns the property next to that at 28 College Avenue, and my father-in-law is currently working on the property within 100 yards of the subject property. So suffice to say, I'm not just investing in this community. I live within this community each and every day, as do the people who are closest to me. In a city as historic and architecturally significant as ours, thoughtful preservation must always coexist with reasonable progress. From what I've seen, this applicant in particular has approached their project with genuine care, and an evident respect for the character of the district where we live. I'd respectfully urge the commission to extend to them the same fairness and balance you've always shown me, weighing both the integrity of the streetscape and the good faith efforts of those men and women who seek to improve it. Annapolis thrives when preservation and stewardship work hand in hand, and I believe this is one of those moments. This applicant is aiming to restore this property to its former glory. Please allow him to improve his personal residence in my neighborhood in this capacity. The structure, the site, my neighborhood, and our city will be better for it. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question for you. What's your opinion of the King George Street facade and proposed changes?
Yeah, Mr. Cummins, I share your enthusiasm for it. It's extremely important. I also think in a world in which things change, this applicant has taken special care to improve the site with taking into account all factors, including where would a car reasonably exit an active roadway onto the personal residence. I think College Avenue is the most obvious place where that would make sense. A circular driveway pre-existed in this on this site. The photographic evidence makes that clear. It's important to preserve life of the existing environmental plantings on the site. I suspect the landscape architects will take the appropriate steps to ensure that is the case, to ensure the long-term preservation of that important tree, that it's a defining characteristic of the neighborhood.
For the porch in particular, do you feel like that would be a positive improvement on the King George side?
I do, yes. All right. Thank
Okay,
you all for
any
your
other
time.
Commission questions for the speaker? Thank you. Thank you for your thoughts. Please.
Hello, my name is Bill Soltez. I live at 4 Wagner Street. My access to my garage is off College Avenue. So as Clint just said, he's in very close proximity to this residence. So am I, very close.
Before we go further, would you raise your right hand?
Yes.
Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give is correct and true to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, I do.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Please proceed.
Thank you. I was telling Chairman Scott before the meeting, I became a grandfather last week, so I've inherited my daughter's dog. So I've been walking the dog a lot lately. And I walk by this house, and every time I walk by this house, I think, gosh, that house is so beautiful. That is one of the classiest, most elegant, just sophisticated houses, I think, in Annapolis. So I saw the sign for the public hearing. So I took a picture, went back to my house, and I looked up the report and read everything. I think this man is doing a fantastic job on this house. I think all of his improvements should not only be permitted, but encouraged. I was talking earlier about the circular driveway, and I understand the issues with the tree, but I love history. And when I saw the sign that I think one of the gentlemen over here said he personally put that sign up that Lafayette was in this house. I heard George Washington was in this house, a bunch of governors. I mean, this was the classy house of Annapolis. And I picture in my mind Lafayette coming around in a horse-drawn carriage on a circular driveway and getting out and going to the ballroom or whatever else they did back in those days. And I think that the circular driveway in particular, if it can work, would add a lot of degree to enhance the overall appearance, the whole image of the house. I think it should be that way. It belongs to have that. Also, I personally, living in the neighborhood and seeing how limited parking is, I kind of like the idea of a little more hardscaping on there to maybe take some of the cars off of the street, because we certainly need more parking. So I support this application, and I'm proud to be an Annapolitan, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
Question for you. Are you in favor of the improvement of the porch on the King George Street side?
Yes, I am. I think it looks really classy, and I like the way they did that door too. Someone described it as like, on the bottom, the French doors, and I like the detail. I'm not an architect, but to me, it looks classy. I think the whole place looks classy, and I'm glad this guy's upgrading, and I think it's going to look even better.
Thank you, sir.
Any other questions?
No, we want to give the other gentleman a chance.
Thank you. I wouldn't lie.
Yeah.
Thank you. John had indicated that I might be.
John, is it possible for? We're going to check with the tech support, make sure it'll work.
Yes, it's plugged in, and there it is. Good evening. My name is John Richards. So swear me in.
Address, please.
I live at 120 Duke of Gloucester Street.
Thank you.
Half a block away.
Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give is the true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, indeed.
Thank you. Please proceed.
First off, I would like to congratulate the new owners of Ogle Hall, which is recognized as one of the preeminent examples of Georgian architecture in Annapolis, and indeed the nation. I am delighted to see the restoration of the house to a residence. I hope that the owners will come to love the joys and responsibilities of caring for this important piece of our history. When I saw this application on the commission docket, I confess I overlooked most of it, but my attention was first drawn to the old photograph, which was not identified and used as the basis for altering the King George Street entryway. And that's the one I'm talking about. I didn't see anywhere this 1918 picture, which was new to me tonight and very interesting. And I think will actually emphasize the point I'm going to be making here. But so what I did, so as you see, that doorway has been much the same with the addition of the wrought handrail for nearly a century, since it was documented by the Historic Building Survey, and that's this photograph. The current colonial entry was highlighted by Deering Davis in his important book, Annapolis Houses. I'm sorry that's not such a great image, but I was doing this on the fly. If anybody, I've got copies of the book, and pass them up. It's on.
John, no one asked.
This is a little bit of a conundrum. I'd like to look at it, but can we take something like this without entering it into the record? Those are the slides. Okay, so we can pass these around and look at them. Yeah, very good.
So I brought a copy also.
Okay, good.
If anyone wants to see it.
Thank you.
And it's on page 92.
Okay.
Not knowing where the applicant's photograph comes from, I went to the Maryland State Archives this morning and to obtain a copy of George Forbes's photograph from 1895 to 1905. And that is a slide that he used in his lectures at the turn of the century about Annapolis. And that's this one. And I gave that to Mr. Tower this afternoon. As you can see, it is earlier than that provided by the applicant and further shows how the house had been Victorianized in the second half of the 19th century by the addition of the side porch and the wooden landing at the front stairs, the application of the stucco covering up the brick facade, and the ornate version of the small story balcony, second story balcony. In other words, like Government House, Ogle Hall had a Victorian period before it was given, in Mr. Davis's words, and that's at the beginning of the essay on Ogle Hall, a most thoughtful and intelligent restoration and brought back to the colonial masterpiece that is so admired today. What the photographic record shows is one of the principal buildings of Annapolis which suffered from inappropriate Victorian additions. By the early 20th century, as the applicant's photo shows, the task of removing the Victorian add-ons was underway, as shown by the removal of the stucco, and that's back on.
Is that stucco or render? I mean, honestly, to me, it looks like whitewash. I'm serious. Yeah, that does not look like stucco. I do not think that surface was ever stucco.
Well,
But it was changed, altered significantly.
Right, but virtually every colonial building in Annapolis had a render attached at some point.
it had stucco on my own house. Yes,
Right,
I know this to be the case.
It's not stucco. Stucco is a mortar. We're not talking about a mortar. This is a different thing. So, you know.
Well, I'll disagree with you
terminology is
about that,
important.
John. I will disagree with you about that, John,
So
because
let me
I'm
tell you where
very
you
clear
can
about
see
that.
it, right up the street from you. So if you turn on to the corner of Conduit Street at Rainbow Row at Man's Tavern,
Mhm.
underneath the porch, you can see what's left of a rendering. And it's common. It was a common thing. It was
Right.
on,
Well, but John,
right.
we understand. Let's, gentlemen, continue.
Thank you. The Victorian add-ons was underway, as shown by the removal of this, what I'll call the stucco, the simplification of the railing, as followed by a more comprehensive restoration to this iconic interior, as shown on the Habs photo. And in fact, I think it's really important to look at this photo in comparison to the 1918 photo that was shown to you earlier. And if you see, those steps have lips on them. They have a completely different railing than the one you were shown before. That's because this was the Victorian steps. And these ones that John was saying go back hundreds of years, those didn't have the lips on them. Those were different and were changed at that point in time. So what's happened here is that you had a colonial set of steps that were removed, Victorianized, and then in 1930 were returned to a colonial set of steps, like you have on Scott House, like you have on Hammond Harwood House, like you have on numerous houses of the highest quality in our town and in our region. And in fact, in the Deering...
So John, should we say that the period of significance that we're looking at for the stairs is reflected in the 1918 photograph?
No, I think what's reflected in the 1918 photograph is a start of an attempt to bring it back from the Victorianization that happened after the Civil War. And
So are you recommending that we restore it to its colonial condition?
I recommend that it should be left in the condition that it is in, which has been restored back and has been like that for almost 100 years as a result of a very thoughtful restoration in the 1930s, which was praised by Deering Davis. It was praised by the authors of the Field Guide to Annapolis Architecture.
You don't want us to permit any change to that front entranceway on King George Street?
Well, I do think...
I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just trying to be sure I understand your bottom line.
Well, I think everybody who drives by it admires those steps. That's what I think. Personally, but maybe I'm projecting on that.
Do you mind if I ask another question? I don't want to cut you off because I know we're jumping in, but it is pertaining to this. Is it okay if I ask a question, or did you want?
Sure.
Well, so I'm very sensitive to the King George side, obviously, because I've repeated myself over and over again, probably to a fault. But the picture that you're showing looks to me almost identical to what's being proposed, bringing it back to that. Now, obviously, you're saying you prefer the later iteration, but for me, when I see this, I see exactly what's being proposed, bringing it back to that. And you're saying you don't think that the original colonial design should be something that we look to for historical significance. You think the redesign afterwards is
Okay,
more.
let me be very clear. This is not the original colonial design. This is a Victorian replacement of the stairs. The railing, which is completely different from the one being proposed here, and completely different from the 1918 photograph, is got a set of flat, highly articulated railings. You can. I'm sorry if I wish I had a better photograph, but this is what I was able to get from the archives this afternoon.
Can you go to the photo that you believe best represents what it should be, with the exception of what it is today, but historically?
Yeah, there it
Okay,
is.
so that's what you're suggesting it should be. But that's from 1947. That's more recent than the 1918 photo or the 1933 photo.
Yes, that's because in 1930, the owners of the house undertook a substantial renovation of the house to bring it back to its colonial appearance.
Do we
They
have,
removed
do we have
the two
photographic
porches.
evidence of what it was in the original? Because from what I've been able to see,
were no
the
photographs.
oldest photograph we
There were
have.
no photographs.
Well, I guess the Civil War you get photographed black and white. I mean,
I agree. The oldest photograph we had that I know of is 1885 to 1900.
Is
And-
there any
1839 was the
documentation?
introduction of photography.
I mean, given that William Buckland worked on this house, which I just read in there, did you guys know
So
that?
Deering Davis believes that
William
William
Buckland-
Buckland was everywhere,
What?
all at once. Deering Davis believes that William Buckland was everywhere all at once. He was omniscient
And then
and
died in the
omnipresent.
middle of the Hammond Harwood house.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I agree with what
that
John
is
said.
dubious. Dubious.
Well, I agree with what John said, that when Deering Davis wrote this book, he was seeing William Buckland in every good piece of architecture in Annapolis. And I myself don't think that he worked on my house, for example, but Deering Davis thought maybe he did.
Oh, and
I
don't
don't know.
forget Gunston Hall.
Right, yeah, exactly. That doesn't detract from the fact that this was a major piece of scholarship for Annapolis with a huge impact, and probably one of the reasons why you're sitting here today, because he did one in Alexandria the year before, and in Alexandria we got the 4th historic district in the country. He did this one, and then we got a historic district here. Anyway, that wasn't really. Don't want to protract too much on your time. The point here is that this house, just like Government House, was Victorianized. And after 50 years or so of being Victorianized, it was restored to its colonial appearance, which is what it should be, because this is a gem of Georgian architecture and one of the principal locations in our city. And, I think most obviously, Standard D4 provides that significant changes to historic buildings and sites which have taken place over time are evidence of the history of the building. Changes which have achieved significance shall be preserved. And the changes that were made in 1930 and which have existed for almost 100 years now, those should be preserved. We should not re-Victorianize this house by putting on a porch on the side of the incredibly important octagon addition that was done by Benjamin Ogle. And we shouldn't be putting out a wooden platform in front of the steps, which perfectly adequately service this building. And that's really the main point I'm trying to make. I probably could have gone on a little more, but
Well, you've been prompted by questions from the commission, so that's quite all right.
Right. So basically, I think it would be a shame to have one of the great colonial era Annapolis houses to take a step backward.
Okay.
And I urge the owners to reconsider their plans on these two features, and I ask you all to do the same.
Well, thank you.
Thank
That
you
was
very
very enlightening. Mr. Wilson,
Yes.
that making any impact on you?
Well,
Wanna say
I
anything?
find the whole thing just incredibly interesting. We're in a tricky spot because of the age of the building and the changes that it's undergone over its life. And so, when our client comes to us and says, my goal is to restore this house to what it was when it was originally conceived. And the oldest picture I can find is the ones that I could find was 1918. It's on your screen right now. And so I look back and say, well, we knew about the Victorianization of the side porch because we saw the gingerbread on the second floor. Do you have that one, Andrew?
Well, you're getting at what I really want to hear you say, and that is this has been very compelling evidence, and we have a very good staff report, very thorough and thoughtful, but if we have evidence now that suggests that this is an earlier colonial representation or structure, can your client accept going to that, or are they stuck on this Victorian stage?
No, quite the contrary. We're trying to stay away from the Victorian era of this house because if you look at like photographs that Andrew has up there today, if you could zoom in, the handrail on that was all kind of gingerbready, right? Look at that. Like that's Victorian. There's no question about it. But there's another iteration that just has a vertical pickets, which we believe is really the more appropriate thing for us to go back and look at. So that's where we went with this. Now, to your question, are we willing to consider like a different approach to these things as we work through this with city staff, using all of these guidelines? Of course we are. And my client is laser focused on making this place the stately residence that it was when it was conceived. So we're trying to take away the undoing of that, which, I'm not criticizing the Naval Academy, but their needs were different. So we want to go back to what it was before they used it. That's the intent.
Okay, great. I think another member of the public would like to speak to us. So.
Hi there, Rachel Robinson, Vice President of Preservation at Historic Annapolis.
Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give is true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
I do. Thank you. Good evening, Commission and everyone present. I hope I can add some comments that contribute and don't further complicate the conversation. But in my review this afternoon, this is we all know it's a visible building, and it's also well documented. And I think that leads us to know that this front porch in particular on the King George Street facade has had about 9 lives. We've seen this flat sawn version from the Victorian period, clearly Victorian. I did not have at my disposal this 1918 picture as well. So my initial concern tonight was that I did not know that there was evidence of that Chippendale feature on the front, where on the side you can see wooden square balusters. So very coincidentally, this is what we have at Reynolds Tavern. So I don't know if those are related. Oglehall is roughly a decade older than Reynolds Tavern. But I just wanted to make the point that over nearly 300 years, this building has gone through a lot of change. And I think when a property owner or designer wants to make changes and bring something back, us preservationists say, well, show us some documentation. And I think I'm neither here to endorse nor oppose the porch, especially now that there's photographic evidence of that front design. I just think having consistency to this era of the restoration or reworking of the building that is as loyal to the documentation and photographic evidence that we have is best. So I hope that's helpful. I'm happy to answer any questions.
To clarify, so you're saying that if we have credible documentary evidence, that we should go back as far as we can, get as close to the original condition of the building. Is that what you're saying?
This does not seem to me to be a purist restoration as we're doing at the James Bryce House.
Right.
Very painful restoration to be as authentic using all of the physical evidence that we've got. But because we have lots of photographic evidence for Ogle Hall, I think if something can be consistent, this has had porch, not porch, stairs, lots of different designs over the centuries. I think there is justification to do something that has been there before, if it is consistent with the treatment of the rest of the property at this time as well.
And so to echo that point, so if you feel that you're on the fence about either way for the King George side, the consistency with the rest of the house overrides that 50-50 split feel that you have?
Yeah, and I wouldn't even say I'm 50-50. I'm just not going to commit to something. But I think there is evidence and justification because it's so well documented. And I think, too, that, I certainly appreciate Mr. Richards' comments. And I think this is such a highly visible building and for so long was quasi-public, being that it was the Alumni Association. I think there's a lot of emotion attached to it because people can see it and it's been part of the landscape for so long. So treating it with as much respect as possible for a nearly 3-century building is important.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yes, of course.
Is there any further research HA or someone could do to perhaps find illustrations or drawings or something else other than what we have so
Sure.
far?
So I also pulled out Mr. Deering's dubious volume this afternoon. And then HA did have a 1982 study of the building, primarily text and then footprints, the growth of the footprint of the building, which I've shared with staff and brought here when there was the pre-application review. So there's not as much. It would be very interesting to see a schedule of the development of the different doorways and entrances so that thoughtful decisions can be made. And just going for consistency and authenticity.
I'll just share for what it's worth that I've mentioned the course on Georgian architecture in Philadelphia that I audited when I was in graduate school at the University of Delaware. And the professor that taught that course knew the author of this book and warned us all, don't take that for granted. Whatever he says, you got to find backup. Yeah, don't put him in your footnotes.
Could you back up to that palimpsest? Yeah, this one.
Eric, is there something particular you're looking for?
I'm fascinated. I mean, it's nice to see the evolution of how this house has changed.
Yeah.
And I guess if we had any documentation of what was there in the 18th century, that's what we would probably recommend, but we don't.
And unfortunately, this doesn't show the progression of the porches.
Yeah.
At least the entrances. And I'm not sure how much archaeology has been done, again, in the last century to prove the original condition.
Okay, I think we've kind of reached a sticking point here. I see Mr. Wilson smiling. I think he knows what I'm about to say. We are struggling over a couple of aspects, but not all. But I think the things that we're struggling over are how to treat the facade on King George Street and how to deal with the landscaping and the hardscape, the driveway. Would you entertain postponing a vote and continuing the review of this until next month?
Well, let me offer an alternative.
Sure.
We received the staff report last night, and so I think in the interest of getting to the best outcome that we can together, it's fair to say let's take a closer look at the driveway and tree relationship and see what we can do, because I am sensitive to trying to preserve the tree. There's more than one way to do that. It includes potential movements of the driveway, adjustments to how we're proposing bridging the routes that we may impact. So I think we'd all be better served if we spent some more time on that. So that's when I'm willing to pull back and say, let's take a look at that at the next meeting.
And
Now,
if I could just add to that, Leo, if there is, if Tyler did a report, that would be very, I think, critical information. And if that report included any investigation with an air spade, just to find where the roots are. I mean, I'm also concerned about reinstating that side porch along College, because that is underneath the drip line of the but an air spade investigation there could tell you if it's there or not. So I'm giving you a little bit of room there.
yeah, and I appreciate it. I mean, we looked at the area where the porch on King George Street is, and there's like, a sump pump in there and a bunch of other things that have been
On
excavated.
King George?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Yeah, that's not the one I'm worried about. It's the side porch on College. The side
yeah.
is underneath the drip line of the cedar.
So let me show you.
Well, but you understand what Mr. Crawford's asking, right? And
I do. I just want to separate the things out. Like, we've done pretty strong due diligence on what can happen on the King George side and the College Ave side, and they're two different problems, right? So, I just want to make sure I have everything. I'm describing it correctly. So just give me a little attitude here. So the photograph that I showed earlier is dated, it's like 1940, and that tree was not there in that
Really?
photograph.
Really?
Yeah, we couldn't see it. There's a prior tree that's at the corner of the house.
Big one.
That big guy that was probably,
yeah.
messing up the foundation might be part of my leak problem.
Do you have that
So
picture?
I
Yeah, we'll
could
show
look
it
at
to
an
you.
aerial photograph, because there are aerial photographs of Annapolis in the 30s and 50s. I just didn't think to do it. So
You got it.
I'm getting ready to look it up, but
A good
Eric, can you
arborist
clarify
would
drip line as opposed to drip line is the edge of the canopy,
Right.
but the canopy does not intersect the house, and the larger circle shows
You got it.
I'm assuming that's the root line, but that intersects the house.
Here, you actually should need to.
So
This
I'm
is
assuming
bigger
that
area.
That's the
those are the
tree.
roots,
That's
not the drip line.
And this
So
is the
I don't think the
No,
porch
no,
intersects
that's
the
what
drip line.
I think
proposed
they're
plan.
If
Is
the
that it?
branches, the way I understand it, the branches overhang the roof of the porch, then the porch is within the drip line.
There is a bunch.
I don't.
so
I don't think
there's
it does.
probably no tree
There we go.
Okay.
but
I've got
Well-
a picture in my staff report. I don't
Well-
think it does.
We've
Just
reached the
clarify.
point
Right.
where we've identified the areas of great concern. And so I think I can assume that the other areas are not of great concern. So Mr. Wilson knows what he needs to work on. And
Can
we
you
can.
actually go back to that photo that shows the electrical box and the brick wall in the
Yeah.
vault area?
So that's why I wanted to show this. This is where the porch is, okay? This is where the porch is intended to go. So this has all been excavated previously. There's a sump pump, there's lights, everything. So that is part of the driver of why the porch is not an issue, right? In my opinion. And so I'm willing to concede that the driveway needs to be reconsidered.
Yeah.
I'd also offer that, look, we looked at the photographic evidence that we could find. The earliest stuff I could find was right around 1918. That the photographs I've shared with you of both the entry on College and the facade that faces King George are of the same time. So the question about are you picking one from one period and one from another, I believe has been resolved. We picked one, we took out the Victorian elements, we stayed as true to what we saw as we could. So I would respectfully ask for approval of those elements, only to come back and talk about landscape and the driveway at a subsequent meeting. That's the request from that.
Oh, wait. Approving, going further with this idea, which I thought would expedite it, but it doesn't seem to have, bit by bit, doesn't really change the applicant's ability to begin work, does it? If we just said, stop, come back in December.
Absolutely, it does. I mean, I don't know what their timeline is. We're just looking at what's proposed for the outside.
Yeah.
So,
With
you know,
your-
there's a
do you
kitchen.
have
This
any
is a
problem with Boarding
major
College Avenue
project.
side now? It's
Yeah,
in that
but
picture.
no, what I don't want to
Do you have
do
any problem
is
with the board?
cause an unnecessary delay. They can begin work inside right now.
Well, I don't think, now that he saw the picture, I think the only thing is the driveway issue.
Well, and the additional paving.
Yeah. So
Well, he already said no hardscapes or no landscaping is approved right now.
Right. Come
And if they
back.
if they withdraw
come
the
back for a revision of the parking, the driveway
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
the expanded carriage house and garage, and then planting.
I understand that.
So I think if we remove the driveway, everything else is.
Yeah, but there's no need for us now to take action piecemeal. We can do it all in December when they come back.
If I'm them, I would want to have everything except for the driveway now.
So do you?
And that'll save us 3 hours.
Hold on.
next
Well,
time.
I think you mean November, not
November,
December.
yes,
Right.
I'm sorry. It won't expedite anything if we go back to letting you know that we intend to approve everything else. We want to hear you address these two issues.
But I would not be in favor of that unless that was required, because I don't want to have to talk about all this again. In my
No, we won't have to talk about it all again. A record's been established. Ms. Wood, can you help me with this?
is there anything against doing what he's proposing? Like, what would be the harm in that?
What do you mean? What
Voting
he's
for everything except for the driveway.
That's what I started out trying to do.
Well, I think we're there now. I think we're all good.
Yeah.
Okay, can we do that?
When you say that, tell me what you're saying.
We approve every part of the recommendations of the staff except the section that HPC staff does not recommend approval of the proposed parking driveway due to their inconsistency with guidelines, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, in out of respect, he withdrew that part of the application because I don't know that we should issue a denial of that more so than a table of it. Because I think there's ramifications that are different.
And I also did not recommend approval of the hardscape or the plantings.
Yeah.
And so we'll withdraw all of that.
But this is my question to our attorney. We have an application. Now we're trying to divide that application in the course of this particular meeting, which I don't object to conceptually at all, but is that a legal way for us to proceed?
You can, and also I believe they withdrew those items that are in question or not approved. Well, not about to be approved. So
Okay.
you're fine. You can do that.
Okay. Can you make a motion for us? No. You can't even recommend the
I
language.
can come talk to someone and talk them through it, but no, I can't make it for you.
I don't mind.
One of the
making that.
commissioners has to make it.
So
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I motion to align with the staff recommendations for approval with a caveat noting the portion of the application that was withdrawn pertaining to the circular driveway.
And the plantings and the hardscape.
Well, you already wrote that, and just to clarify that, okay. So all landscapes, all hardscapes are tabled for now because they were withdrawn. The circular driveway is withdrawn. I motion that we approve everything else except for the withdrawn components of the landscaping, the hardscapes, and the driveway.
And with conditions.
I move to align with the recommendation that the staff made with respect to the withdrawn components of hardscapes, landscapes, and driveway.
Is that clear?
And we will work on details of of the respective approved items.
Okay, is there a second?
Yes,
to
it's
the motion?
clear.
Okay. All in favor? Motion made and seconded, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Well, half a loaf is better than none, right?
I'd argue it's probably 3/4, but thanks so
Okay.
much.
Well, good. Thank
for,
you.
for the landscapes. I'm going to be extremely sensitive on the King George side.
No.
So just, like, if I had my way, there would, other than the porch, there would be nothing else there on that side. So, if I'm in the
Thank you for your help.
minority, but I just want to note that, like, anything there on that side is.
Okay.
Great.
Well,
We'll work to get our response to the staff review comments we received together so we can come back and talk about those open issues and see if we can get them resolved. Thanks so much.
excellent.
Appreciate
Thank you. Thank you for your patience. Now, I'm not going to insist that we end at 9, but I have an early flight tomorrow morning. I haven't packed.
Are we done?
Yeah.
John?
If there's any, also, Leo, I'll offer another comment. I'm hugely in favor of the circular driveway, but to Commissioner Groff's point, I think having an impact study is,
you got to
is
think
critical.
hard about that.
We have to see that. Like, I am very surprised by the fact that the tree wasn't there before, but now
Okay.
it's such a staple.
John? Do you have any further comments?
So should we move to adjourn?
No, I have
Oh.
one report to make. I'll make it. They're not paying attention. It's only for you anyway. I attended the city council meeting last night as long as I possibly could. Yeah, and I'm past that. I stayed until 9, and I did speak, and I conveyed our memorandum content and offered to expedite it by hearing it if it was referred to us at our administrative meeting later this month. It's my understanding after discussing it with Rachel, who stuck it out to the very end, that because they took out the expansion of the height limit and the amendments that Alderman Savage offered that would affect that part, that we accomplished what we wanted to accomplish, except having it referred to us. And that's now really more or less a moot point. Okay. So I'm glad that
will it come before us?
Oh, I think
Yeah.
they rejected it. They were like,
the height limits are gone, taken out. A couple of the height change. Yeah, just that it stays as it is. And Alderman Savage had made recommendations that basically would take that ordinance and apply all of its contents to all of the historic district, but he withdrew those. So now it's a much more limited thing. Actually, I have a copy of the document presented by a member of the public who's a retired prosecuting federal attorney whose last words were, if you pass this, I am going to file suit and I will see you in court and I will win.
who was that?
Yeah.
Who was the attorney?
I can't remember his name.
It's not Danny Clemens?
I think Rachel would recall it. But he's very compelling, and he issued a 4-page, essentially a brief. And I think he'll absolutely be successful.
You know what my honest opinion is? He's going to build townhouses there. And I'm like, and I don't think it
that's
impacts the
terrible.
view shed. I don't think it impacts the view shed. And I would much rather have a little bit higher of a hotel than have townhouses. And he's going to build
Me
them.
too.
Like he will. I mean, that's
Me too.
So-
That'll take it out of the public realm forever.
Harvey. He comes to me. Well, I guess I haven't been to a lot of meetings.
Who?
Wait, should we move to
Oh, no.
adjourn?
Right. Well, let's adjourn. We're still on the record.
Okay.
Let's adjourn.
A couple of things I didn't get to mention. We got a city citation.
We did?
Well, the project itself got.
This is a good citation?
Yes.
Or,
Yes. Actually, you were named in here, Cecil. Bring that young man to my office early in the morning. No, for the little park on West Street, which was featured in a National Preservation magazine with the two lights that are umbrellas.
Mhm.
It's whimsical.
Yeah.
I mentioned it before, but
Yeah.
so there it is.
Wait, I don't know if we were a part of that.
No,
We
you weren't.
were. You approved
No.
it.
We did?
I think you
Wait,
did.
which one was this?
No, Cecil didn't.
I don't think so.
I don't remember that.
No, I don't think any of them
Yeah, I
were.
don't
You're
think-
newer than that. Oh, okay.
No, I don't think any of them.
Also, previous a previous commission approved this whimsical
Yeah.
design.
Did they actually put our
and
names on it?
A lot of people know you're not.
No. You can't. When he starts that stuff, take it with a grain of salt. Okay, so that's all I had to report. I don't think that we're ever going to see it because the changes really do take it out of our area of concern. Right, Rachel? Don't you agree that the way that 014 was finally passed, it really doesn't apply to our area of authority?
If there's anyone watching at home, I'll come up to the mic. My understanding is the height was removed,
Yeah.
and that was the piece that directly affected the historic district.
Yeah.
And subsequently, amendments 1 and 5, which were trying to improve that bit of 2156, were also removed. So it's my understanding, it was a late night, but 01425 passed, but without any direct impact on the historic district.
Yeah.
And I think it was made clear to the council and everyone in the room that it is advisable that zoning changes, ordinances that affect the historic district, it is the practice and tradition that they come before you all for review. And I hope the incoming council and administration appreciate that.
Well, thank you for clarifying that for all of us. And I can tell you that I've talked with candidate Littman, with my alderman Schandelmeyer, and with Harry Huntley, candidate and current alderman for Ward 1. And they all agreed that that would be the process if they were making decisions.
So two other things regarding applications, which we have seen pre-application for, but not a subsequent application. And that is the proposed temporary structure at 80 Compromise Street. So that is coming in as a temporary structure and not being reviewed by HPC, although I think it should be. And I was told in staff meeting that it was proposed for conversion to a permanent structure, in which case it should definitely be heard by the HPC. Leo.
Yeah.
The other thing is that 172 Green Street was withdrawn, and that was a, what would we call that? Event space, gathering space on at 172 Green Street, and that was something that Mr. Richards had testified about. It wasn't withdrawn for the reason that it wouldn't necessarily comply with guidelines. It was withdrawn because it doesn't have the proper licensing to support a structure like that.
Was that a follow-up application? Because didn't we approve the facade changes?
Well, right. We have we literally have a single approval, which is for a roof over a doorway on the rear side of the building, and then we do not have approvals for anything else because they're not supported by zoning. They're not approved to serve food.
Yeah.
So you approved
Well, the window boxes are there, and I don't know when they went in.
Were they
but,
trying to make that a commercial establishment, or were they saying they wanted to have catering?
Well, I think I think that may be the intention, and in some ways, the director of planning and zoning is interested in bringing their licensing in line with their interests. However, not sure that a bed and breakfast can do all the things that they're interested in doing. And it was previously a bed and breakfast and not a short-term rental. So just bringing
Okay.
you all up to speed on that.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.